All right, this is just a quick look at the Tamron 28-300 VC. This is actually the older version, but I was still in 2015 able to find a brand new one. I'll talk about the lens in just a second, but the way I got the lens new, it was on Amazon. There's a seller on there, and they listed the lens as actually used, but when you look at the details of it, it was listed as unopened, so it was basically unopened and original package, and it came with a 7-year MAC lens warranty. And I don't know how that, this was still new. This has been continued for a while, but I'm assuming that maybe the lens had been in stock at a store that originally bought it for a while, and had it sitting around for a long time, and they just decided to sell them to some other party that was willing to sell them, and maybe not list as new. I don't know what conditions they're prohibited from selling a lens as new, but it is a brand new lens, and it still had the USA warranty card and everything. So kind of wondering about the warranty. I guess you probably could not send this back to Tamron in this situation for warranty work. Looking at the Tamron's website, I don't know how this lens, what channels it went through to get where it was when I bought it off of Amazon, but it was not sold directly through Amazon. It was some other private seller, a company on Amazon that was selling it. But they did include a 7-year MAC warranty, and I think I paid about a little under $360 for this, brand new basically. But again, it was sold as used, but it was technically still brand new in the package, and when I got it, sure enough, everything was still looked like it had just come off the factory floor and everything. Anyway, this is it's a 28-300. This is a Nikon mount, full frame, and it's a 3.5 to 6.3 variable aperture, and it's what has it got? A 67mm filter on the front, which is convenient because I've got a Fuji 135. Well, it's a, what is it now? I'm drawing a blank on the Fuji lens I have for my X-T1, 18 to 135 I think, and it has a 67mm filter thread, so I can use the circular polarizer filter that I bought for it. But this does zoom out, gets to be pretty big when you zoom it out, and I'm using this on a Nikon DF, which is really not the best looking camera to use it on, to have a super zoom lens on a DF, but for my purposes, first of all, I didn't really plan on buying the DF anyway, but I've got a smaller 35mm Nikon F2 lens and a 50mm f1.4, which are smaller obviously, so I could use these primes when I want to be small, but I figured I'd take this on vacation, just for the heck of it. I had one of these actually in the past on a D700, and I knew what I was getting into when I bought it again. So when I bought the DF, I just figured I'd go ahead and buy this. It was like, around $360, still brand new, compared to a Nikon 28-300. The Nikon version, it's about $1,000. So this is not up to the Nikon standard as far as the build quality and so on, but it is built very well, and the optical quality is probably the difference, and the VR, or the vibration reduction, but Tamron calls it VC, or vibration control. The Nikon version, was a very, very good lens, I thought, and I was really happy with it. But it was a lot heavier and a lot more expensive, and I didn't want to buy it again for the DF, and just to have something to play around with on the DF with it, because I like to have a more telephoto lens. I thought I'd go ahead and buy this. So it does have a lock here for a zoom lock, so if you're not using it, you can lock that, and you don't have any zoom creep. If you got the camera pointing down, the lens isn't going to extend unexpectedly if you're just trouncing around in a national park somewhere and you're not paying attention to the camera. The vibration control, or what Tamron calls VC, there's a switch on and off right here on the lens, and down here is the manual focus, autofocus. So if you put it into manual focus, then you can turn the focus ring manually. As soon as you flip it back into autofocus, it sort of engages the gears in there, so you don't want to try to force it. And really changing the manual focus setting on the camera body, like that's in manual focus now, but it still doesn't do anything for the lens, because the lens is actually focusing through the motor in the lens itself, not the body. So you really have to use the switch on the lens itself, autofocus or manual focus, if you want to switch into manual focus. So as far as the VC, or vibration control, or VR, whatever you want to call it, it's not as good as the Nikon as far as the sound. Let me see if you can hear this. So it kind of has a startup sound, like a whoo, and then when you let go of it, it's shunk. You know, it's you can kind of hear the I don't know if there's electromagnets in there, whatever's, you know, controlling that element in there that's the vibration reduction part of the VC part. You can kind of hear it start up and then stop, and it'll have that little clunk. So I don't really know if you can hear that on the camera or not. Once it's engaged, you know, it's not like immediate. So there is a very slight delay when you've got when you're using the VR before it'll be ready, and then after you let go of the shutter button, it'll maybe a second or two, and then it'll stop and kind of park itself. And it seems to be fairly effective. I think for myself, I think it's better to, in good daylight, to use Nikon's auto ISO with the auto setting for the shutter speed. I didn't have that in the past. You know, I always had to pick like a minimum shutter speed. But on the DF here, it's got a minimum shutter speed, you know, or a automatic shutter speed setting. And what that does is, like, let's say you're at 28mm, I think it sets it to like 1/30th of a second. And if you zoom out to 300mm, the camera will automatically shift the shutter speed up to 1/320th of a second. And I like to do that during the day, you know, good daylight. I'll just turn off the vibration control. You know, it's not using up any battery life, and I think there's, you know, you're better off to not have any accidental out of focus or blurry pictures because of the VR not, you know, the vibration control not being engaged completely when you want to snap a picture. So if you want to use it really quick, just, you know, take pictures quickly, not have to wait for the VR in this, or the VC, same thing, to get engaged. Just turn it off and use a faster shutter speed during the day. What else about it? The lens actually is made in Japan. It feels pretty well built, and even the lens hood is made in Japan, and even the lens cap is made in Japan. It's not very heavy. I'm trying to remember this setup right here was with the Nikon DF, which is full frame camera, the 28-300 Tamron lens, compared to the Fuji X-T1 I have with the 18-135 lens on it, and the, you know, the regular grip on it, not the battery grip. The DF weighs about a half pound more, so that's not drastic. It's pretty good. It's not a small camera once you have that lens on there, but I'm really just going to use this for like vacations and just around, you know, walking around outside, general photography. It's obviously not the best optically. You know, when you get into a lens like this, it's sort of a mediocre super zoom. It is actually very sharp in the center. On the outside edges, it's a little bit soft. You know, the more you stop down to, you know, f5, 6, or actually like f8, f9, it does get better. But you know, it's to be expected for basically $360, whatever I paid for it. You know, I'm totally fine with that for its intended purpose. Yeah, so overall, you know, like I said, the lens itself is made in Japan. If you can see, they're right there. And you know, it does get pretty long when you zoom it out. quite long. But again, you know, it is what it is. If you just need a you know, a decent 28-300mm lens and you don't want to spring for the Nikon 28-300, which is about $1,000, if you can find one of these older first generation 28-300s from Tamron, you know, I would say it's a very good lens. You know, personally, focusing, it's not, you know, extremely fast. And actually, talking about the focusing, the disadvantage of this is the outer focus ring actually does turn when it focuses. You can see that when it's focusing, and it's not very quiet when it focuses either. You can kind of hear the motor running back and forth. It's a little bit slow and a little bit noisy. So if you're not going to make use it for videos, and you're not going to have some music dubbed over top of the sound that would be in the video, this, you know, probably not very good for that unless you're manual focusing, because it's not very quiet and it's not very fast. The Nikon version is quicker. Now there is a new version of this. There's another version of the 28-300 from Tamron. I think the focusing is internal in that one, where you don't have this focus ring moving around, and I'm sure it's quieter. I've never used one, so I don't know for sure, but I imagine it's more close to being like the Nikon version of the 28-300 rather than this older first generation Tamron 28-300. But I think that's all I'm going to say about it. You know, again, it is a very nice lens for what it is. Pretty much got it dirt cheap and still brand new with a 7-year warranty. I just happened to find one on Amazon, still new, and you know, I've got some pictures. I'll put a link to my DF gallery, and you know, I've got some pictures in there. I'll try to have those labeled, most of them with, you know, that were taken with the 28-300, so you'll be able to see that pretty easily. And I guess that's about it. So thank you.